It's the Two Gems Podcast.
One of these times I'm going to clap.
You're never clapping.
I did that. How are you?
Pretty good, babe. How you doing?
Your beard's long.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's kind of my
Does it annoy you?
my summer beard. It annoys me when this starts happening down here, so I had to keep on top of it. Nice face. Like, it's disgusting. Like, what?
No, you look cute. This is episode 11. Welcome
This is a big one, Sharon. You know why?
Why?
This is the one everyone's been waiting on.
Well, we've also made $11, so we are now filthy rich on the YouTube monetization.
I want to say it's like 13 now.
Oh.
Yeah, it's enough to pay for
Nothing.
Literally nothing.
In today's economy.
yeah.
Before we
a penny
get into
candy's
it,
$14.
Yeah. Before we get into it, because today we are going to talk about dirty little secrets.
Dirty little secrets.
Which I'm excited about. But I wanted to circle back quickly on not last episode, but the episode before that, which a lot of people really related to, resonated with, loved it.
It was a great episode.
Yeah, it was
when
good.
we were recording it, I didn't really like it because I prefer the more like super humorous side of
Right.
this whole show.
Right.
But when we recorded it, I didn't love it. And then hearing it back, I was like, man, that one slapped.
It's just very relatable to a lot of people. But what I wanted to say, what I actually wanted to talk about, was how there was a lot of comments that came rolling in from women that also have ADD and struggle with having the house looking a certain way and doing stuff like that. And I think that episode also made us reflect from both sides. And I think for me, it made me realize that it's so much more than just the weight of motherhood and trying to organize, like do that kind of stuff. It's actually in my brain. Like there's a thing going on in my brain. And I think when we got those comments start to roll in from YouTube, that you might have also been like, oh, wow, there's more to it than just Sheridan trying to do all this stuff. Like there's actually something going on in there medically. And I think I was talking to my mom about this, and I think when I was younger and I was diagnosed with ADD, which didn't happen until university, but I kind of always knew that I was maybe able to just live with it and be fine because I didn't have all of these other things I had to worry about. So my plate wasn't so big, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't have to try and figure that out. But now that I'm a mom and I have all these other things going on in my brain, literally every second of the day, that it's really brought to light like the problems. It's not a problem.
Kind of amplified it a little
Right.
bit.
And it's made me realize that I think I need to actually look into it more. Whereas before I was just like, oh, I have ADD, and I would move along and live my life. But now it's like it's actually a problem with me trying to function every day, like with the household and stuff like that. And then I think it's important that I look into it. So I wanted to say like, thank you for everybody responding and talking about that, because I think there's so much more to it than me just walking around with a rag every day and trying to clean things up. Right. Mm-hmm. And also good.
So then what about everybody that was agreeing with you that doesn't have ADD then?
Well, that's just motherhood, and there's all this stuff going on too. I'm just focusing purely on what people said about ADD, because either way, there's like a thing going on with moms and, you know, trying to do all of that stuff and the motherhood load. I'm just saying purely medically wise, I should probably look into it. And I'm so thankful that I talked about it. I'm so thankful I talked about it because I feel like it gave me the opportunity to get feedback and to be like, you know what? Yeah, like time to look into that, Sheridan. So anyway, thanks for that.
We got a lot of interesting feedback.
We did, yeah.
I thought that episode was going to be one of those ones that just kind of flies under the radar and no one would really be like overly interested in it. And I couldn't have been more wrong. Right. I don't think we've got more engagement on an episode than we did on that last one. Like we had a couple reels that hit almost 20,000 already that came out of that episode. It created more conversation, I think, than even the ones that I thought were the funniest and people would really be into. That episode resonated with a lot of people.
So we're going to cut today's episode off and just go watch it.
No, but I think at some point I need to step up to the plate and acknowledge some of these things that were said, because there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of people that made comments sort of directed at me. Mm-hmm. And I think that they would like me to come in and actually talk about them. And I think at some point the right thing to do, the proper thing to do, is to acknowledge a lot of those comments, which I haven't done yet. There was someone in there, Olive.
Yeah, Olive Eve and Co.
Yeah, she wrote a big thing in there, and I kept going back to it, and I want to respond to it, and every time I went to write something, it just wasn't coming out right. So I don't know, maybe we could like delegate 20 or 30 minutes to the next episode to really like dive into that, because we had kind of carved this one out to be about Dirty Little Secrets, and we keep saying it every time, every week. We're like, let's do it. So we just need to do it. And I feel like the next few episodes are going to be really good, because I came up with some like really interesting stuff to talk about.
Oh, did you?
I did, yeah. I was going through my notes this morning. I was like, there's a lot of like good questions that I could ask that I think would create some great convos.
Awesome.
But yeah, at some point we have to double back and talk about that motherhood versus fatherhood kind of thing, and the differences between the roles that mums take and dads take. And I think that no matter what, I think based on the trajectory of this show, I mean, it's probably the audience is probably. I think a lot of women bring their men into the conversation while watching our show. Like, I see a lot of comments like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I was to just like throw a dart at a wall right now, I bet you 90% of this audience at least is women.
Yeah.
So you're always going to kind of get
Yes.
the upper hand in these debates and stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Where I bet you if this was 90% men watching the show, you'd see a lot of men going like, we do a lot too. Like,
Yeah.
someone had our back in this. Like, so
For sure.
I don't know. Now's not the time, but maybe next episode we'll jump back into it.
No, and that's a great point, because I do think that there is such a big discrepancy between motherhood and fatherhood. And I think that it's important to have your point of view as well, because the voices aren't always heard from the fathers, right? And
They're not at all.
because women talk a lot. Women talk a lot, and we talk a lot, and we bounce things off of one another, and we have those conversations where I find that men just generally don't do that. So I think it's really good to have your point of view too, because, you know, as you said, a couple people did also write and say like, it was really nice to hear Matt speak as well, because it kind of made me reflect and think of it differently than I would have if I had spoken to a girlfriend or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's stay on this for a sec then.
Okay,
Just for a minute, because you brought up a good thing right there. It's like men's voices aren't heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is. You might even be able to go back to like some caveman shit and just kind of that like macho, heroic, men don't like showing weakness thing. It's almost like it's probably
Ingrained.
literally baked in our DNA. Like there's something about that. And I don't want to get too deep into that, but I think that there's probably roots in, you know, the fact we used to like chase saber-toothed tigers around with spears and shit. We always try to like be the tough guy kind of thing.
Right.
But I think that stereotype is starting to get pushed to the back burner now. And I think you're starting to see a lot more men that are in tune with their feelings and that are you know, men need help too, just as much as women do. And I think there's actually studies showing now that men may actually need more help than women do, because we're really prone to burying our feelings.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you're with a man that wears his heart on his sleeve. I think I keep that dialogue pretty open between you and I. But for anyone that hasn't seen it, and I wanted to bring this up a couple episodes and forgot to bring it up, is that speech there from a UFC fighter. His name's Paddy Pimblett, I think is how you say his name. Anyway, I was watching that fight live when we were down in Chester when we first got back from Ottawa. And his post-fight speech, he got on the microphone with the interviewer, and he kind of grabbed the microphone, and he was saying that he started crying a little bit, and he was saying that he just had a friend commit suicide leading up to the fight. Like within a couple days of him getting in there, one of his best friends took his own life. And he had this amazing speech just saying men need to stop trying to play this tough guy role. Men need help. And he said something like, he said, you know, I'd rather be your shoulder to cry on than be there carrying your casket at your funeral.
Yeah.
And yeah, I might be kind of like going kind of like tiptoeing around the topic right now, but I feel like women roll together and they have each other's backs and damn near everything in life. And that's not to say that women aren't catty. I mean, there's definitely like little, you know, those little fights and things that happen. But women tend to, like if a woman opens up a shop, all the women roll through and support it. And like women get like ribbons at football games and stuff like that. Like women, yeah, it's a thing. Like women roll together. I don't know. You just do. Like there's like, you know, Bill Burr's got a whole segment on that. You guys have like self-help books and like when you're pregnant, like all the women have your back and they're helping you. And for men, it's like when men are down and out, we kind of bury it and no one really knows about it.
Yeah.
And that's why you see so many men taking their own lives. And especially through this COVID shit, the numbers are astronomical.
Well, I could say so much about this. Like even when you look back to when, you know, many years ago, if a boy was crying, it's like, stop crying, like man up, right?
Yeah.
And that is no longer, but I think it's hard to change something that's been the same way for so long. And I do think we're doing a good job. But even for example, remember when I had that August group with Kaya? And there's all these moms in it, and we spoke about everything. Do you remember how they tried to make a dad's group and you were in it? You went in it and you're like, what's this? And I was like, it's a dad's group.
Oh, yeah.
And do you remember how nobody wrote in it? So the opportunity was there. It was created. Even you were in it and nobody talked. Whereas when we started the group, it was just like there's just something different in our brains as well, I think.
Yeah.
Like I'm no doctor, but I think that's, and so I don't know. It's definitely an interesting conversation and an interesting topic. But even thinking back to COVID, when things were really bad and you started randomly calling people. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Like there was one friend of yours that said he was having a hard time and you just pressed the call button and
he lives in Alberta.
Right.
So there was a 4 or 5 hour time change.
Yeah.
And he was up in the middle of the night. Like I saw it at 5:30 in the morning or 6 in the morning when I first got to my computer at work in the morning. And he was saying that he really needed someone to talk to right now. And I hadn't spoken to him in like 7 or 8 years. And I just said, I'm going to call him. I'm going to call him right now. And actually be that person that actually pulls through for him.
Yeah.
And I rung him at like 5:30 or 6 in the morning, and he had some drinks, like he was definitely intoxicated, and just seemed like really bummed out. And when the call came through, he answered, he's like, Matt?
Right.
And I'm like, what's up, bro? And he's like, you actually called, like someone actually called me. And I was like, yeah, man, like let's talk. We were on the phone for like an hour laughing and everything. And I don't know how dark the place he was in, but we had a great time. And he's like, man, that was so nice. And then he was saying that he was going to do that.
Right.
He's like, I'm gonna do the same thing, man. I'm gonna start calling people randomly during COVID and just making sure they're okay. So
yeah,
more men need to talk. And I might be coming out of left field with this right now, but if there is anyone out there, like a woman that's listening to this that thinks their man could use a shoulder to talk to or something, like I love talking.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love talking to anyone. I love talking to strangers. I find strangers are the funnest people to talk to, the most fun because you know nothing about them.
Yeah.
And I think that you come into it very non-judgmental and whatnot. And so, yeah, I mean, if there's anyone out there that like actually feels like chatting to someone that just wants to bounce things off.
You're here. Yeah.
I'm literally always around. Like if someone calls me up, like I'm always game for live chats. Love it. Love it.
Okay, so DLS, Dirty Little Secrets. So for anyone that is listening to this that doesn't follow me on Instagram, I started doing Dirty Little Secrets. Oh gosh, how long ago?
Did you invent it?
No. I remember somebody else. Well, I remember somebody else did it, and then I was like, well, that's a cool idea. And now I feel like a lot of people do it. Sunday Confessions, Dirty Little Secrets, this or that polls. Like they're definitely more out there. However, I am just going to toot my own horn for a second and say that I think because I've been doing it for so long and I've garnered a following that really puts their trust in me, that I think that I get some dirty little secrets that are absolutely very intimate that other people do not get on theirs. And you know, it's not just a dirty little secret, it's kind of turned into just your truth. Say whatever you want to say to get off of your chest. And anyway, so basically I put a little box and I say, drop whatever you want to drop. Then I say, but not your pants. I find that funny.
Please drop them.
Yeah. And they just start coming in right away. Right away. It's like people just can't wait to get whatever they want to say off their chest.
Why?
Well, there's something to that too. I don't know. It's just like back to us talking. Like how often do people talk? Like they want to say stuff. They have stuff that they want to talk about. And you and I have a very open relationship. Not that way, but it's very much like we talk a lot. We talk a lot, and I don't feel like there's things that if that happened to me that I would feel like, oh my gosh, I need to say something. But I could understand how people certainly feel that way, that don't get the chance to vocalize whatever the heck it is they want to get off their chest, you know?
I love that that's who you are. It's one of my favorite things about you.
What is?
Just the fact that people trust you with that. Like you've never outed one person of all that shit that's on there, all that stuff that comes in. Never once have you been like, oh, that was Nancy, eh? Like you keep it a secret and it's a safe place for you, and that people feel comfortable putting that out there in your
my line of vision
to the people in your proximity. It's really cool because the answer to the question why people do it, I knew the answer. I just wanted to hear your angle on it, is your perspective. The reason is that people like feeling not alone in this
Less
world.
alone.
And when people put that stuff out there and then the next person puts something out there and then the next person does, it's like, I think you come to realize that like we're all living these like crazy lives and we're
For
all just
sure.
trying to figure out life on this rock floating around the sun.
Yeah.
And when you hear about people that are going through other things, it just makes you feel like, all this crazy shit I'm doing is like, they are too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. So I pulled out a couple of them from my last one. I mean, if I went through all my dirty little secrets, I'd be freaking up until midnight trying to sift through them all. But this just goes on from my last one. And sorry, just to piggyback off of what you said, I've reached out to 2 people before, actually 3. Okay, so the only ones I've ever reached out to. So basically what happens is somebody writes this in and I can see who wrote it. I can see who put that answer in. And because Instagram still hasn't figured this out, there's like a hiccup in the system. I have to screenshot them immediately and delete it so that the answers can keep coming in. Because if you don't delete them right away, you kind of lose some of the answers. It's very annoying. That's why I'm always on my phone all the time doing it like immediately, because you can't just let the answers sit or else they get lost. It's really weird. But there's been a couple people that have mentioned that they were in an abusive relationship, and I messaged them after and I said, I never go and message anybody like privately about their secrets, but I just want to let you know that I couldn't let this one sit. And like, if you need any help, please let me know, that sort of thing. So I reached out to that. And
You've never told me that.
Really?
I don't think so.
And then another one was the last one. A girl had written about wanting to get her hair done and how she was a single mom, and it's not a big deal, but it's a big deal to her and it makes her feel better and all that kind of stuff. So I actually had one other person. This is what's cool about Dirty Little Secrets too, is I had one girl message me and say, is there any way that we can help this girl get her hair done? And I said, that's such a nice idea. I was thinking the same thing. So I messaged the other girl and I said, listen, again, I don't usually reach out, but like I have somebody here that wants to help you get your hair done and I also want to help. So we came up with the money and sent it to her, and she was so thankful and sent me pictures of her hair after and was like, that was so kind. So
she's got a green mohawk.
Yeah. So some really cool things come from that as well, you know? Anyway, so I pulled up a couple of them and I feel like
I want to preface this whole thing with like, I don't actually read very many of your Dirty Little Secrets.
Oh.
I'm too busy.
You're too busy.
I'm just too busy doing business deals. And
yeah.
But I haven't paid that much attention to it. So everything you're about to say, I know none of. Like we didn't, before this episode, you weren't like, I'm going to bring this one up and this one and this one. I have no idea.
You have no idea what's coming out of my mouth.
I have no clue. And honestly, if there's been 1,000 Dirty Little Secrets come your way, and I know it's probably at least that number, I've probably read 50 of them maybe.
Yeah. I should also say that we're obviously not doctors and we're not professionals in anything. So whatever comes out of our mouths, please don't take it too seriously. And also, you know, again, back to the unscripted thing, I literally said to Matt, we need to be really careful and just kind of, not really careful, but just, you know, pay attention to what we're saying here and just not to hurt anybody's feelings or stuff like that. So here we go.
Sharon was all worried I'd come in here guns blazing laughing. I'm hoping you brought something I could laugh about here, but I don't know. I don't know what you did here.
Okay, so let's just see here.
She's got a big note that says DLS.
Yeah. First one, I find taking care of my baby easier when my partner isn't home. and actually,
that's fantastic.
No, but this one, I wrote that one down first because I also felt like you and I could both relate to that. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of true. And this has happened for both you and I before. And you've made this point so many times that when I'm not around, you find it easier at times.
Yeah. Can you read that again, though? Did they say a newborn?
No, they just said baby. I find you take care of my baby easier when my partner isn't home.
In the baby stage, I don't know if I'd 100% agree, like, personally. Mm-hmm. But I find, like, with toddlers and kids, like our kids, the nice thing about when you're gone is I don't need to overcomplicate anything. Mm-hmm. Like if I want to, thankfully you and I are pretty much on the same page. We like beaches and you like beaches.
Yeah.
Beaches like that. But I mean, like, you don't even have to discuss it.
Yeah.
Because you tend to be so organized with stuff. Mm-hmm.
Sort of.
You're so organized that, like, you turn the simplest thing into this, like, rigid, like, Matthew, we're going to the beach. Do you have the sun yellow? The 15 towels? Is the blanket ironed? Like, where I would literally just, like, if we go down there and there's only one towel between the four of us, like,
you'll figure it out.
You guys will be all right. Like, I don't know. I just roll with it and go.
And I think for me, on the flip side, when you're not around, well, I Why is that so funny?
I don't know. Why would it be better without me?
No, I was just going to say that I find that I don't, have expectations of you to do anything. So I just end up doing it, and I'm not resentful, or I don't feel a certain type of way. So I'm like, oh, I'm just here. I'm doing it alone. And sometimes it does go a lot more smoothly when you don't have another person with you, and you're kind of like,
I'll keep that in mind.
no, but it is true.
Yeah.
It is true, because I do things a
makes
little
sense.
bit differently than you. Like maybe at dinner time, for example, you're going to go and make a big meal, whereas I'm going to plop the kids all with a little tray, and then, right, the cleanup's easier. Like it's just different when you're not with me. And sometimes I do think it's better too. So I don't disagree with what this girl is saying.
Anyway, we're gonna go our separate ways
No,
here and get a couple
no.
different condos. And
But that I could have related to that.
yeah,
So.
that's definitely something we can relate to.
Right.
I still do like you.
Yeah,
I like
me
when
too.
you're
Me
but every
too.
now and then it's just kind of nice to break it
Yeah.
up. Like I like spending alone time with the kids sometimes.
Yeah.
We just do what dad wants to
Yeah,
do,
definitely.
which is all dope stuff.
Yeah.
So
So happy life is finally normal again. I feel like I couldn't breathe for so long.
like referring to what? COVID?
I'm assuming the pandemic, because now obviously masks are off, and unless of course you want to keep one on, and things are definitely much more normal, travel, all that kind of stuff
I
than
can't
what it
believe you brought
was.
this one in here today, Sheridan.
Well, I don't think we need to overthink
Are you
it.
trying to get us canceled? or-
No.
Okay.
I don't think it needs to be overthought. I just
Well, there's gonna be a lot of people that are like, this
It's
ain't
not
over,
normal.
bro.
Right.
Like the hospitals are definitely filling up again.
Yeah.
No, like just in our proximity. I mean, we know someone that's going through a lot right now that's sick
Yeah.
with COVID.
Yeah.
Your brother's sick.
Right.
Your sister-in-law's sick.
Right.
Sonny's sick.
Right.
Posey now has COVID.
Right.
They all do. They
Yeah.
literally all have COVID. And that's just like people that we know, like right in front of us.
But I know I was just gonna say that it's a new normal from
Yeah.
what we obviously experienced 3 years ago or whatever it was before COVID hit. But I think they meant more so in the fact that, a couple years ago we were in our homes locked down,
Yeah.
and that was absolute insanity. It's kind of hard to even think about it sometimes. It's like it was almost a blur sometimes
Yeah.
for me. But now you can travel again. Like I remember certain parts of the pandemic, I'm like, will I ever leave this province again? Like you just didn't know.
Yeah, I know.
Everything was so up in the air.
Yeah.
So I think they just mean it's nice to be able to feel somewhat normal again. And I can obviously totally relate to
same.
that, especially as a parent when the pandemic happened. And I'm not downplaying what anybody went through in the pandemic, because I know on the flip side, my mom, who lives alone in Ottawa, like she also felt mentally different because she was alone and going through those types of struggles. But as a parent in the pandemic and trying to have the kids be on Zoom and us trying to work and also trying to make them feel like life is sort of okay and we're going to get through this, like it was a lot. It was a lot.
The pandemic and us going through that, that's a whole episode right there.
Right.
But it's we will look back on this as one of the most interesting things that ever happened in our 85-year life or however long we live. That would have that little window that happened there. They'll write novels about it. There'll be like movies and classes. Like it what an interesting thing, because it really, I think, like one of the things from me that I took away from it is realizing how fragile this system is that we live in. Like I used to just kind of think like, you flip the news on every now and then, you'd see like some ISIS shit and crazy things happening around the world. But in our little bubble here in North America, it was like things were like pretty good.
Really
here
opened our eyes.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like, we were like locked in our homes and people were dying and no one really knew what was going on, and just the C word was so scary, and there was so much unknown, and food was running out. You had to wipe your ass with paper towel. There wasn't even toilet paper anymore. It was just like, what is going on? Like I remember going in the grocery store for weeks and there was nothing left.
Yeah.
There was nothing left. It was crazy. Like you couldn't get corn, you couldn't get beans, like all the canned veggies and stuff was gone. Like our aisles were just gone. And it just made you just realize like this little like world that we live in, we're like a week away from everything being gone. It's crazy.
I remember too, I actually remember when we were over at your dad's house having dinner before COVID hit here. And it was already over in China, and he was talking about it. And we were just so oblivious to it. We're like, anyway, because it's in the other side of the world, right?
Yeah, we were laughing. Like,
Yeah.
Dad was making some
Right.
jokes. Like, wow.
Right.
And
Because you're so oblivious and you don't realize and you just don't assume that it's going to come this way. And I think it was such an eye-opening thing for so many people to realize, like, what goes on in other places of the world. And also something I wanted to say, which is weird, but I felt strangely comforted knowing we were all going through it together.
Yeah.
Like, we'd sit down in the playroom and turn on the TV, and everyone was turning on the TV, and we were all going through it together. And I found some weird sort of comfort in that, like not going through it alone. We could all talk about it together. It was weird. Like, I felt a strange part of like unity when it first started. Of course,
Yeah.
before everybody started, arguing about things. But right at the beginning, it just felt... I don't know. There was something about humanity that I was like, I don't know. I feel like we're all kind of in this together right now and we can feel the same way. It was weird. But anyway, yes. Back to that secret.
well, tragedies in a lot of ways bring people together.
Right.
It's like when you go to a funeral house and then all of a sudden you see hundreds of people that you haven't seen. It's like, oh, Uncle Jack,
Right.
like, haven't seen you in
Right.
15 years. But
Yeah.
like, bad things bring us together.
Yeah.
So this is a really weird thing. It'd be nice
It
if we
is.
just got together
I know.
otherwise. But yeah, like the pandemic, I know the exact feeling and sentiment you're talking about. Like it was just kind of like, we're all going through this. Like, let's hunker down here and get her done. And
Well, it's
And
like
then
everybody,
hunkering down.
we all had something that we could connect on. We all had something like, there's,
it's a good point.
right? Like, we could relate to one thing. I'm trying to get my point. You know what I'm trying
Humanity
to say
had a thing that bound all of us, which is really interesting.
because we're all different in so many ways, and you
Yeah.
can't always relate to somebody or feel the same way, but it's like we all had one thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that was okay. There's another one.
The new normal.
Yeah, the new normal.
What are you dodging some now?
No, I'm not dodging some. I'm gonna go through them all. I love my partner so much, but I'm genuinely not attracted to him anymore. I don't know what to do. You want me to read it again? I love my partner so much, but I'm genuinely not attracted to him anymore. I don't know what to do. So let's just dissect that.
That's a thick one. That's a deep one.
Well,
Lot to that one.
I'm gonna say that I think there's two parts to this. Again, this is us just going through it in our own heads, right? Like you're not sitting down with a therapist or anything. It's just Matt and Sheridan. But I think the first part of that is I genuinely love my partner so much. So that's important, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm not attracted to them anymore. I just don't know what to do. It's not like she said, or he, I don't even know who wrote that, but it's not like they said, I'm not into my partner anymore, like blah, blah, blah. It was like, I genuinely love the person that I'm with. I'm just not attracted to them anymore.
So it makes it then poses the question, why? Like,
Right.
what is it? Like, did they put on 300 pounds and they changed visually? Is there... Okay, I was gonna say, like, have they gotten violent or anything, but obviously not, because you still really love them as a person, but you're just not attracted anymore. So it's an interesting one. I mean, it's like it's something that as a personally you'll have to approach very carefully, because like if it's something where you're like, oh, if they just shave that beard off or something, I'd really like you again. I mean, it's an easy thing to approach. It's like,
well,
Marvin, shave the beard off. It's...
I think that if I were to take that comment and run with it, I would think that this person is in a relationship and they love their partner and they're just not feeling attracted to them anymore. I think it's just as simple as that. And I think sometimes when you've been with somebody, I'm just going to assume that they've been together for a while. I'm just going to assume. Because if they haven't, then that's a totally different topic. But I think if they've been with somebody for a while, and they're going through the ups and downs of their relationship, I think there's all sorts of different layers to it. Like sometimes I'm super attracted to you and we have these great months where it's like, this is so good. And then other months it just kind of fizzles away,
Yep.
So like, I think there's ups and downs to relationships. So I think maybe if they're going through a moment right now where they're not genuinely attracted to their partner, maybe the attraction will come back, right? Like maybe they're just going through something.
Yeah.
Also, maybe they're going through something themselves. And I had this conversation. This could be totally not related to it. But I think a big part of being attracted to you and feeling like I want to be intimate with you is how I feel about myself. And if I'm feeling great and I'm feeling attractive personally.
You look damn good over there.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like, so for example, perhaps when, we had a baby and I was feeling yucky and I'm breastfeeding and milk's coming out and my body's figuring itself out, like maybe I'm not attracted to you because I'm also not into it myself, right?
You have to look after yourself first.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, and then I think the rest exactly, and then the rest kind of comes. So I don't really have a whole lot of advice for that person.
I wonder if this person feels like this is something that, like, is there any hope?
Right.
Or are you just completely over every square inch of their body and their being?
Right.
Or is it something where, like, maybe I'm just going to assume it's a woman saying this, so much of your audience is women. It's probably not a man saying that. What if that woman, like, came home with a new outfit, maybe? Like, come home with, like, a V-neck shirt if you're into that, and like a pair of like ripped jeans that go with it really well, and some new Chuck Taylors or something. And like is that an answer? Or is it just something where maybe they just need a little steering, like in their fashion style that like might turn you on a little more or something? Or because
if the guy came home looking like that?
No, what I'm saying is like maybe the person writing this could go out and surprise their partner with a new outfit or something that they find very attractive, and like, you'll do that for me sometimes. You'll be like, I'll love this sweater on you or something like that. And you'll come home with like a new garment for me. And then when I put it on, you're like, so maybe whoever that is could step up to the plate and try and like influence it without hurting feelings too much. But I don't know. That's a hard one.
There's also a different side to it too, though, where maybe it's worth it to sit down and have the conversation with them instead, rather than just kind of doing like the little things that you don't think they'll notice.
Yeah.
Like maybe if you genuinely love your partner and they love you a lot too, then you should be having these conversations and discussing like, why is it that I feel this way? Is it you? Is it me? Is it life? Are we busy? Like, what is it, right? Rather than, like, I think don't shy away from having the hard conversations, because almost always from those hard conversations comes good stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I can guarantee that this person's partner knows they're not attracted to them.
Well, yeah.
Because you like, and this is this thing that I was talking about last episode about how I can read you like a book. There's like a feeling that I get from you.
Yeah.
And assuming they've been together a while because of this love and the fact that it's starting to like fizzle out a little bit on the attraction side, I mean, that means that there's some history behind them. And your partner, I guarantee you, feels in their heart like you're not attracted to them anymore.
Yeah.
And it's probably
weighing on
really hard to deal with.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So have the chat.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
Yeah.
Have that chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have those chats a lot, actually, all the time.
About what?
Like what's going on, and if I'm not into you right now, and those types of conversations, like we have those chats.
Yeah.
I even remember the pandemic when you literally wore the same outfit for like 3 months. And then one day you're like, do you even like me? Like, how are you even attracted to me? And I was like, and then the next day you came down in cute outfit. And I was like, oh, there you are, Anyway, so have the conversation, open up the communication, because I think if this is your partner and you're doing life with them, then you should be talking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that's a really hard thing to answer because we have no context as to what it is about them.
I know.
Is it like they're stinky now and refuse to wear deodorant?
Right.
Is it like a beard? Is it a hair thing?
Is it
the
time?
outfit? Or is it just like it's run its course and
Yeah.
you're just not attracted to them anymore?
Yeah.
Like, do you desire something else? Did you read a good romance novel
Yeah.
and you're more like, you wonder about something? Like, there's it's
many
such a
different
loaded
avenues.
question.
Yeah, you're right. It is a loaded question, which we can't, I guess, totally dive into unless we had more context.
And a PhD.
Yeah. No. My crazy ex has a secret blog I found he writes his feelings, and it's actually psychotic.
Wow.
We need the blog link. My crazy ex has a secret blog I found. He writes his feelings, and it's actually psychotic. So first of all, crazy ex, we can only imagine that there's some shit going down on that blog. Imagine having a secretive blog. Like, imagine if one day you just popped up and there was like a secret blog of me just like writing everything out.
Huh. I wonder how she found it.
That's a great question. How did she find the blog?
Just simply looking up the name on the internet and just seeing what was out there.
But it's a secret blog. How would you find that? I like to know. I'm also dying to know what's on the blog. Aren't you?
Yeah.
It's actually psychotic, she said.
Oh my goodness.
What is there?
I have nothing
Send
else
us
to
the
say.
blog
I
link,
don't know.
please.
Send us the blog link.
Right? Like, we need to know. We need to know what this ex of yours is divulging. Is it information about you? Like, is it crazy stuff? Like, I want to know it all, please.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
Sure, there's got to be thousands.
There is. Okay, here's one. I hate how no one talks about women having a higher sex drive than men. It's always the other way around, and women post all this content about how they can't keep their man's hands off of them when I'm living with my hubby who won't touch me. Do you want me to read it again, or did you get that?
So yeah, there's this giant stereotype that's probably like mostly true that men have a higher sex drive than women, but she's saying that she's more into it than her man.
And that, right. And then she feels like she's living with a man that won't even touch her, but she's always hearing about men that can't leave their women alone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it is true. I think there's definitely a stereotype. And then I also think that when it comes to men that are perhaps not as, driven by sex, that they feel this sense of like feeling ashamed, like there's something wrong with them, like they're wired differently, and that's not okay. When that's not fair, really. Like, it's not fair, because women can sit around and say like, oh, I'm not into my husband and blah, blah. Like, I'm not in the mood right now. I'm not attracted to him at the moment. And like, that's kind of like normalized.
Yep.
Right. Whereas if a man was like, I'm not really into my wife right now. Like, you know what I mean? That's kind of like, well, why? What's wrong with you? Right.
See, this is another loaded one, the thing about a man, because I've had lulls in my life too, where like I physically just wasn't getting erections. Like I just like imagine.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've never told you that.
No.
Well, I don't know. Even
when was that?
It's happened numerous times in my life.
Huh.
Because for a man, it's a mental thing. It really, really is. Like for a woman, there's nothing that physically really needs to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nothing needs to happen. Like you lay down in bed and like,
right.
Like
you
rely on your partner to kind of, and get juices flowing and get things going. But for a man, it's like there's a thing down there and that thing needs to grow and turn into something.
There's a lot to it.
The blood has to get flowing.
Yep.
And I find if it can snowball and get out of control, like because men are in their head so often, and it's just like if it's not working and you have a bad night, you're just not into it, but your partner really is. I'm just gonna be like completely blunt about this. I mean, I think I've had this same situation happen before, and the woman's like super into this, to having sex, and the man just ain't feeling it.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden the men's gonna be laying there in bed going like, why am I not feeling this right now? Sitting there with a flaccid penis. And then what happens is like the next go around, there's like this pressure, like he better come in here with the stiffy and get her going. And like, and then if it's not a stellar performance, then all of a sudden the man's sitting there going like, is there something wrong with me?
Yeah.
And then it snowballs right out of control to the point where he might not even be approaching you anymore because he's worried about what his performance in the bedroom is going to be like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Because you're right. For women, there's nothing that needs to happen. We just get to have a vagina and get it tickled and move along, right? No, but do you know what I mean?
Yes.
There's no pressure for me to go like, I need to get an erection now for Matt to...
There's way more pressure on men, I think, in the bedroom.
Absolutely.
Like, is he hung? Like what? Like that whole situation. And then it's like, then you gotta like...
Man, that must be stressful.
Oh, for
having a penis sometimes. Like situations like that. Like, does he have a big penis? Like,
it's so funny the way that is.
I know. It's too bad, really. It is too bad.
So... And it's a thing the world plays into it. If this was the other way around,
right, it'd be very
buildings would be burned to the ground. Like if you walk into the Father's Mustache in Halifax, I've told you this before. If you walk into your Father's Mustache in Halifax and go in the men's washroom, ladies, I kid you not, you will have never seen this because you don't go in the men's washroom. At all of the urinals, so I'm standing there taking a piss at the urinal. They have cut out plastic decals of women, like life-size women, that are standing there at the urinals, pointing at your dick and laughing at it. Like laughing at the size. And the next one over, there's a girl that's like, ooh, like clearly because the guy's like well hung or
Covering
whatever,
it up,
like,
yeah.
ooh.
Yeah.
And then the next one, there's like a woman that's like tapping the shoulder of the other woman, laughing, pointing at the penis and stuff.
That's
It's like,
really bad.
It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
If that was the other way
Yeah,
around and
yeah.
you go into the urinal in the washer, or the
men
woman's
there,
stall
oh my
or
God.
whatever, and they're like pointing at your titties and ass and stuff.
Oh,
and laugh
father's
at them.
mustache would be
Buddy,
closed.
the building would be
Yeah.
burned to the ground.
Right.
And this is what I'm saying.
stereotypes.
Men have this stereotype where we all just gotta like slough it up. It's actually crazy.
It is.
So-
You're right. You're totally right. We're totally off topic
if
with
that was happening in the woman's washroom,
Yeah.
that business, that establishment would be closed
Canceled.
in 1 hour.
Yeah.
1 hour. That would hit the news, and there would never be another patron again.
Yeah.
And men just
have to
laugh
deal
at
with
my
it.
penis
Yeah.
size. Sure, like
Yeah.
it's weird. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of pressure on men, I find, to perform in the bedroom and all that shit. So my piece of advice to you, and this is a tricky one, but I think you just got to take it easy and remove the barrier of stress in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe this is one of these things where he's never been that into it, but I would say like lay down and just like flick a movie on or something and just like try and bring it back to the early days when there was like really no pressure. You know, just
Remember
kind of
when I
like
read-
reach over and just do a little rub and don't be like, hon, you're like, why aren't you into me anymore? And like I just want to get.
Now, this is
you know
kind
what I
of
mean?
off topic.
But I'm on something here. Like,
Okay, yeah.
instead of putting that pressure on them, which maybe you're doing, where it's like, can you just F me? Like,
Right.
like I just want to get this going, kind of thing. Then all of a sudden, you're building up all this shit in this man's head that he doesn't need.
Yeah.
Like, lay down and make it a nice organic sesh, and like make some popcorn, put a movie on, just kind of like rub his leg a little bit
Yeah.
and get the blood flowing and stuff, and remove all that stress around sex. Because
Yeah.
for a man, it can be stressful sometimes.
For sure.
That's my 2 cents. You take it away.
No, all I was going to say was I don't actually know if that's what she meant. Like hands off as in like he won't touch me as in just maybe even like a butt tap along the way or like a hug or a handhold. I don't know. We're just honing in and assuming she means with sex. That might not even be the case. Maybe he's just not
I'm
even-
completely out of left
No,
field.
but I'm
Sorry.
saying, but I liked your points were all very valid, and I totally agree. And do you remember a while ago when we did that? When I was like, we're gonna do that 30-day sex challenge. Do you remember that? And we lasted like maybe 7 days.
You lasted.
Right,
You tapped out. You.
But there was all these things.
I was
There
sitting there
like a
on
list.
night 8 like, all right, hon.
But it wasn't just sex. Like I remember at the beginning, it was like have a hardcore makeout with your partner, lie with them and snuggle and rub their legs, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, this is stupid because I wasn't even in that mind. Like I wasn't into it at that time. And I remember thinking like, this is dumb. I'm not into this at all. But then I was like, you know what? I am challenging myself. I'm doing this challenge. And we did a couple of those things. And I remember being like, I do feel closer to you. As dorky as that I thought that was, it did make a difference. Just having that, little snuggle or the makeout or whatever, it made a big difference.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people are so hyper focused on having sex that it's like something always has to lead to something, which I've had trouble with you in the past. And I've always said it feels like if I'm just lying there and we're like spooning or something, I'm like, oh, Matt's going to try and slip it in when really I just want to spoon. So then I just say, fuck it. But wouldn't you agree? And I just don't spoon
Oh my goodness.
because it always felt like something, and more
you
often
just feel a
than
little
not,
weight on your back.
No, but more often than not, you would try to do something. It's like it was never just, oh, we're just going to do this or we're just going to make out or we're just going to play around a little bit and rub up on each other. It always felt like it had to lead to something else, even
Yeah.
if I didn't want it to.
You
The
came
full
in for the
Monty.
fries and you got the burger and
Yeah,
the shake.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Wow.
wow. Yeah, wow is right.
Want to go hold hands?
Yeah, I
do
do.
nothing else?
I do. Sometimes I
Yeah,
just
me
want to
too.
snuggle and watch a movie.
That's all I want.
Is it?
Yeah, just play footsies with me and do
Yeah,
nothing else.
Right. Married, but would love to have someone hit on me just to feel like I still got it. Anyone else?
Interesting.
Married, but would love to have someone hit on me just to feel like I still got it. Anyone else?
Yeah. I think everyone feels
For
that.
sure.
Everybody feels that a little bit.
You want to feel wanted.
Yeah.
You want to feel attractive still.
Yeah.
Just because you're married doesn't mean you're going to be like, nobody look at me now. Even if I look good, don't even, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, if I get all dressed up and I go downtown or something and somebody looks at me, I'm like, you still think I'm cute?
Yeah.
Right?
Hey.
And I
Yeah.
also want people to do the same for you. I want us to be down and have somebody giving you the eye. And I'm like, all right, yeah, like Matt's still got it too. Like that's totally normal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I could add to that, but I mean, yeah, like absolutely. I think everyone feels that. It's nice to feel nice, and I think you almost back to what I was saying the last point. Like, when you first get with your partner,
Yeah.
and not even necessarily get with them, but you remember like the first time you go out for
Get
dinner.
together, you mean?
Like the first time you even go out for dinner, just like even just like holding the person's hand would give you goosebumps. You know what I mean? Just any touch at all.
Yeah.
And just even that first text or anything, it's like, oh my God, this person's into me. And
Butterflies.
Just like, and then like 7, 8, 9 years later and stuff, it's like when you tell me I look good, it almost doesn't even matter anymore. It's
Right.
like, because I've heard it a million times. It's so overused, you don't even really care. If you rub my leg now or something, it's not like it once was. Mm-hmm. But like, if I'm walking down the mall and some girl gives me the up down, it's like, damn, thanks.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
it's just this weird freaking thing. And then it's not like it goes anywhere, but it's just in your head like, yeah, I still got a little swag on my step, and then I come home and feel good.
That's what I was going to say. It actually translates more into my relationship with you because I'm feeling good and I come home. You're right. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just like, okay, yes, we got this. This is great. And you're on like a bit of a high. And then you come home.
How high were you,
No,
Sharon?
but you know what I mean.
And that
Like,
guy was fitting your glasses on the other day.
Oh my! If you only saw this person, you'd be like, "Never mind,
Yeah,
LOL."
yeah,
That's not
sure,
Sheridan's
Sharon.
type. But
That's a good That's a good comment though, because I feel like everyone feels that a little bit.
yes.
The flip side of that, you have to be careful because
Yeah.
you got to be careful because
Especially if you're in a bit of a tough area
Yeah.
with your partner, and then you enjoy that, and you're like, "Oh, do I enjoy this more?" And that, yes, you're right.
Yeah, and because then your mind starts wondering, oh, is the grass greener over there with
Right, which it's not.
Yeah. Well, it will be for a little bit, and then
Yeah.
turns into what every other relationship is. A
Yeah.
normal relationship with ups and downs that you have to kind of work through. It was the same thing that I had a conversation with a man just the other day about that very thing.
Yeah.
It's every relationship in the world has hurdles and ups and downs, and like the more of those you go through and the more of those that you work through and stuff, I find like the stronger your bond gets.
Yeah.
It's almost like I could use it as an analogy. It's almost like going to the gym every day or something. I would know absolutely nothing about, but
we don't know
but
that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like the more that you work on something
Yeah.
and put your body through the pain and stuff, like the stronger the muscle fibers get and turn you into a stronger human. It's like a relationship's the same thing. If it was just a cakewalk, I mean, what really is it? I mean, life is all about figuring it out together and going through those ups and downs. And like I feel like every time that you and I go through something. Nice face.
No.
Every time we go through something, we're stronger a week later.
I was actually going to say that is us right now, because when we were on our way up to Shetty Camp,
Episode 12.
Matt literally told me that he wanted to let's keep in mind this drive to Shetty Camp is like 5 hours, and we were driving and Matt pulled off to the Bedford exit because he was contemplating turning around and coming back to Hubli and making me go in a separate vehicle because he said that if he even looked at me any longer, he might just leave me on the side of the road. He's like,
oh my God, I was so over you.
And I'm trying to think about what we fought about, if you want to talk about it. But
just keep going. Who cares?
No, but why? I was saying
talk with this. We're in the pocket right now.
Yeah, we're
fun
still
with
going to
this.
keep talking about it. But what I wanted to say is that we had it out for quite a while, and we got in an argument.
All the way to Truro, I think.
Yeah, and then we talked about it, and you noticed that even after that I've been trying harder, that you have been trying harder, that you understand each other a little bit more, because I mean, unfortunately, sometimes it builds up so much that you explode. That's not always the case, but that was the case for us, especially because you guys know, if you listened a couple episodes ago, that we were already kind of in a bit of a thing.
Yep.
And then it really, like, the top really popped off. But it was good.
Everyone's wondering like how high the top go.
Yeah, it's real high.
I was psychotic for a minute, contemplating unlocking the doors and kicking you out. Oh, I don't know. But that's just life. And to your point, I mean, you've been on fire ever since. Yeah. I feel like I've been pretty good, and it's.
Well, the thing is too, like, for us together, we are never apart. Like, never. We've talked about this before, and there's a lot of qualities to that, but there's also a lot of disadvantages in the fact that, like, had we gotten an argument and I went to work and we had time to sit and think about it away from each other, it might have been different. But as you said in the car, you're like, I can't look at you anymore. Like, I feel like you're everywhere. Like, you're literally everywhere.
We
I've
had
been with you
lo-
all summer. Like, go away.
Yeah.
Right.
We were locked in a vehicle together for like 80 hours in the last month. Like, I just had enough of staring at your side profile. Like, I couldn't even deal with you anymore. Anyway, I love you very much, Sheridan. That's all just a part of life. And I think that if I was to toot our horns a little bit, I think one thing that you and I do really well is we both just lay it out.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really hide much from each other at all.
Well, that was actually kind of what our argument was about. Was
What do you
that?
mean?
Oh, you don't remember the argument? Do you remember what we fought about?
Well, we were fighting because I got angry in the driveway about packing shit and something. I was out in the rain packing everything.
Well, it basically no, but
I did everything.
Oh
I was
my-
like, yeah, what was it?
well, it ended up coming to light that what bothers you and what we were arguing about was that you feel like I don't communicate how I feel. So some days I come down and I'm like not overly happy and you're like, did I do something wrong? You start thinking about it too much. And it's funny you say that because I was having a conversation with my girlfriend yesterday and she's you and her partner is me in the sense that like he doesn't talk about it as much about how he feels. And so her and I were having this conversation and I was telling her and she goes, well, tell him, Sheridan. She's like, tell him what's on your mind. It's not, there's nothing worse than when you feel a certain way and your partner's over there like, did I do something? Like, is it me? Like, what is it?
Well, because your mind, it's a unanimous thing. Universally, everyone feels this way. Your mind is way worse than the actual scenario in every goddamn thing in life.
Right.
Like when you get ready to do a big presentation, you just assume everyone's going to be out there looking at you like, I
Right.
hope he trips and
Right.
dies or
Right.
something. Like, no one's thinking that, bro. They all want you to do well, but your mind plays tricks on you. So when you come down, you're sobbing in the morning, just freaking just a slug
Nice.
mooching around. It's like, I'm over there wondering, like, does she love me? Like, what is going on? Like, is she okay? Did
Funny
she,
though,
did
because
she
then on the
find
flip
something
side,
out that...
she realized she's kind of started sticking up for him, and she's like, but also in the same breath, Matt obviously has been with you for long enough that he should just know that this is kind of how you are. And,
Oh, really?
And
Yeah.
to not take it personally, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think he does kind of figure that out, but it might be hard to deal with my emotions, my you being unsure and uncertain of what exactly is going on. But anyway, that was what our argument was basically about. And ever since, I feel like I've been pretty good.
Yeah.
And I will go through those motions again.
Keep going to Drew. I don't care about talking about this. We talk about it enough.
My.
I was into this stuff
All
we were
right,
talking
okay.
about. Let's talk about other people's
Tell me
stuff
how you really
now.
feel.
I don't want to talk about you and I anymore.
Feeling financially stressed with all these inflation prices.
Yep.
Yeah, feel that.
I mean, you and I don't feel it too bad, and we're very fortunate to be that way. I mean, you know, we're relatively financially okay in life, which is good. But I definitely sympathize with people that are like feeling the pinch right now. It's absolutely brutal. I'd like to say that I see a light at the end of the tunnel, but I personally don't. And I'm pretty into this shit. I look at it a lot. Like the inflation numbers just came out for England yesterday, and they're at almost 15% inflation. That's insane. Like that's mind-boggling. Is that going over your head, Raylan?
Yeah, well,
You
you
don't
know,
pay-
you can't have these conversations with me because I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. But you can just go
15% inflation basically means that something that was $100 last month is $115 now. So it's like, and that's like, it's really weird how they sort inflation numbers out. I mean, it's a very like calculated thing where they take the price of rice and all this different shit.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, everything's crazy right now. I mean, thankfully the price of gas has weaseled down a little bit, but I think it's gonna suck for a while. It's tough. It's freaking tough for, you know, the lower middle class. I think are gonna get squeezed pretty hard, and it's tough. I mean, everyone's feeling. I mean, I went to the grocery store yesterday. I was.
you came home and laid it out on the table.
I was telling Jim I laid out all the groceries and I literally got 3 bags of food. Like 3 bags. Like that's normally when I go to the grocery store, like on a good run of groceries, I'm buying like 10 bags of stuff. I came home with 3 bags, $200.
It's fucking ridiculous.
There was like 12 items on the counter. I'm like, $200.
I know.
Like,
it's insane.
I don't know. I don't know.
So
I don't know where people are going to find reprieve. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. You know, the Fed is going in and changing interest rates. You know, they're frantically changing interest rates and increasing this shit, trying to get this inflation numbers to come down. I almost feel like they need to rip the Band-Aid off and increase the interest rates more to really like make this take effect. But I mean, this is all back to the pandemic thing. I think this is all a symptom of printing hundreds of billions of dollars and giving money out to everybody. Like, it seemed great in the moment when everyone's mailbox was having checks put in it, but now we're feeling the repercussions of this, and the financial system is going to
Again, I know nothing, but like, what else were you to do when there was no work and no stuff? Like,
but the thing is, it could have been a couple hard years for people where money was tight and it sucked. And then we could have just all moved on as the economy started rebounding. But instead, I'm no economist, but when you print a whole shit ton of money and make everybody's money worth less while everyone's buying stuff and buying stocks and buying things because there's this free money getting given to everyone, it
messes up with
it messes everything up. So now rather than having short-term pain for long-term gain, now we're going to have short-term gain, which is what it was during COVID when the money was being printed, for like long-term pain. We've ruined our money. So anyway, but I'm no economist. Maybe I sound like an idiot right now, but that's how I take it.
That's your take on it.
It's going to be,
okay,
I don't know.
So we feel for everyone with that, ourselves included.
Another thing that I want to say, just really quickly, is that like, and I don't want to sound like you and I are like the oracles over here, but I mean, if somebody out there is like really in need of something and they need help, especially like if you have children or anything, I mean, you can like poke Sharon and I, and we've done it before. I mean, we can try and help someone out if they need it.
Yeah, well,
I'm saying that sincerely.
Yeah.
Like, if someone needs $100 to get some food to feed their kids and shit, man, tell us. And why are you $100? And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Like,
and I also have a lot of things if you need baby things or if you need clothing, things like that, that I actually am starting to pack away to do a garage sale. But if you are in such a place where you feel comfortable enough to reach out and you're having a hard time, let us know. Absolutely. Yes.
Well, and this community seems like such a great community anyway, that I think if someone was like, I need a stroller, I need something, times are hard. I mean, you'll have a stroller at your doorstep in a day. I pretty much guarantee it. Yeah. Like, your community is a very heartfelt community that will help anybody, I think. So
I totally agree. I love that. It's so true. Right now. Oh, this one I thought maybe you could plug in your beautiful face cream. Somebody wrote, I have adult acne and it's making me so self-conscious that I don't want to go anywhere. First of all, just so you know, I'm so sorry you feel that way, because it would be really hard. I mean, even when you're a teenager and you get acne, and I remember I never actually got acne. I think you did.
Yeah, I had it really
But
bad.
I did not. I would just get these colossal fucking zits that were like the size of my face, and then you try to like cover it up. And anyway, it made me self-conscious as a kid, as a teen, going through puberty and all that stuff. So as an adult, and you feel that way, like I can't, that would be really tough. Really tough. So the reason why I brought that one on was because hopefully whoever said that is listening, and Matt has recently discovered.
But it wasn't acne though. My skin, it was almost like a rosacea-ish.
But it could help. It could help.
Yeah.
I mean, it's done some wonders to other people you've recommended it to.
Well, I think I probably wouldn't steer towards that product. I would say you could research into Accutane. The Accutane comes with a caveat of things around it too. I mean, it can cause depression. There's a bundle of shit. It's definitely one of those things where it's like could cause this. This.
Did you take
But
Accutane?
I did Accutane, and within 6 months I went from having like absolutely brutal acne, like it was really bad. If I didn't deal with it, I would have like
scarring.
For sure.
Right.
And I took Accutane and like.
I think my brother took the same thing.
He did. And so I would highly recommend looking into Accutane and seeing if it would fit your lifestyle. I mean, you have to draw blood once a month in like a significant amount. Yeah, like they fill jars of blood and test it and all this shit. I remember once a month I was having to like take.
I didn't know that.
But what Sharon saw about on the flip side of that too was the Dr. Jart products. DRJART, Dr. Jart.
You can find it at Sephora.
Yeah, you can buy it at Sephora. Their product line comes with a hefty price tag, but it works really well. And I can say, like, I've had a friend that I recommended their face creams to that it completely changed her life.
Completely.
She went from like her face like crumbling, and she was seeing doctors. No one could fix her face. Like, she didn't know what was wrong with it. And I said, like,
Try it.
This cream worked really well for me. It was the tiger grass cream.
Yep.
It worked really well for me cleaning up my face from like a kind of like a rosacea kind of thing. And so like this was like her last resort. Like her face was just like unbelievable when I saw her.
Yeah.
It's been 2 months now and her face is
Yeah.
flawless.
It's
It's
true.
unbelievable. Like she
know.
can't even believe it.
I know.
So yeah, like I would say go into Sephora and look at the Dr. Jart creams. Like it worked for me. This ain't
Yeah.
some plug that I'm getting paid
Yeah.
for. It's unbelievable
Yeah.
how well that cream worked.
I agree.
Yeah, the
and
face
even
wash
if you
and the
don't
cream.
have it now, and like you go like a couple days if we're away or something, you can already feel your face kind of going back to the old ways. So
Yeah, and so I'm using the face wash. It comes in like a white tube. It's like a microderm, I think it is. And then I use the Dr. Jart Tiger Grass face cream. And
life changing for you.
jeez.
Isn't it nice when you find a good
Yeah.
product? Man, it's like, how did I live without this?
Yeah, I can't live without it
Yeah.
now. Like if Dr. Jart went under and the cream disappeared, like I would be like weeping in a dark room. Like I don't even know what I would do. Like I don't know.
A friend's husband is emotionally abusive, and I don't know how to tell her. That's a
My
loaded
friend's
question.
husband
Is
is
emotionally abusive. And I'm just going to kind of chime in here and say that I was in an emotionally abusive relationship and I really didn't know it. I really didn't know it. And that's the fascinating thing about things like that is the people that are generally, again, I'm going to stereotype, but are the people that are doing the emotionally abusive thing. They have a way of making it seem like you're the one that's doing all the wrong things. They isolate you from your family. They isolate you from your friends. You're the only one that's going to love, like only you will love me. You know what I'm trying to say? Like nobody else is going to love you, Sheridan, except for me. Like they make you feel that kind of way that you can't even really see. Like you're kind of in a bubble and you can't even look out to see.
What a weird thing.
And for me, I honestly didn't realize, and I will say that I had friends that were telling me, that were saying, Sheridan, like this is like, you need to get out of this. And I still didn't believe them. I was like, you don't get it. Like, you don't understand. You don't get our relationship, blah, blah, blah. And it took me finally seeing the light. I don't know what clicked, but something clicked. And I was like, holy shit, I need to get out of this. And that was when I made the decision and I left and never looked back. And that I don't think was what he thought was going to happen. Like I said, okay, see you later. Bye. And I left as in like, I was never not going to see him again. I was just leaving where I think I was in Toronto and I went back to Ottawa and I had made that choice. So, I mean, was it helpful that my friends tried to tell me that this is not normal, Sheridan? Sure. But at that point, I was just more defensive than anything else. Yeah. I was, because I was like, well, you don't get it. You don't understand our relationship. We're so in love. Da-da-da-da-da. Like, you're not there for the intimate moments, stuff like that. Like, I was more defensive than anything else. But looking back on it, do I appreciate that my friends tried? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that they still stuck around, because some of them didn't, you know, and that they tried to be supportive. And something else I might say too is that, as like, depending on how important this friend is to you, no matter how frustrated you are, because it can be really frustrating on the other end where you're like, how are you not fucking seeing this? Like, how do you not see that this is going on? To just stay by their side regardless, because when it all comes crashing down, they're going to need you, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's not always easy to do as a friend, because it can be really frustrating, especially like, how do you not hear me and what I have to say? And like, doesn't my friendship mean something to you that I'm trying to explain to you what's happening? But they're just so into their own situation that, like, just speaking to your friend that's in this emotionally abusive relationship, it's so hard to see beyond.
Well, it could be something too, and you made a lot of really good points there, but it could be something too where they don't have a way out. Like, I think sometimes they become financially bound to someone and
Yes.
they can't escape.
Yep.
And it could be something where they're very much aware that the abuse is going on and they turn a blind eye to it and kind of put up a facade in front of their friends and stuff, because they know deep down that like leaving them would be harder than staying with them.
So they think, yes.
So they think.
Yeah.
But it's emotional abuse is a thing that I'm trying to think how to word this right now. I've dealt with a lot of emotional abuse, like pretty much my whole child life. I had a lot of like emotional abuse around me. My mother was emotionally abused. It's tough, and it's a thing that when you're close to someone that does it, it can be something where you almost feel like you can kind of sympathize with them because it's probably something that they dealt with as a child too, and it's really hard. Like when you watch somebody that emotionally abuses someone, I bet you if you follow back to their childhood, they were emotionally abused, so they don't really know any other way. They're kind of a symptom of their environment, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree kind of a thing. And I think that at some point the cycle has to break. And I think that this woman, I don't know if they have children with them or not, but like this woman, if she has children with this man, then this man's going to emotionally abuse the children as well. Yeah. And then that cycle will just continue.
Or the child will see them doing it.
Yes. And so I was one of 3 from my mom's side that would have all kind of seen the emotional abuse happening in the family. And I broke the mold. I got away from it and didn't reciprocate that towards you or our children. But then there's another member in my family who like basically sponged it all up, and now he goes and reciprocates that same kind of emotional abuse to the people around him. And it's something where it's like I always will forever feel bad for him because he
saw it.
Yeah, I mean it's my brother, and I mean he's one of my brothers, and I mean he is just replicating the abuse that he received as a child to everyone in his life now. Yeah. And it sucks. It super sucks. It's one of those things. It really, really sucks. But at some point you have to kind of break the cycle and figure out a way to deal with it.
Yeah.
There's no like magical answer. It just really sucks for everyone involved. Emotional abuse sucks.
Oh, doesn't it?
Yeah. Because it drags you down, right? So sometimes it'd almost be easier if you just punch me in the arm instead of like tearing me down mentally and ruining my life. Like, yeah, it sucks.
It's funny you say that because, again, like I was in a situation where, I was physically assaulted into, like, pushed down. The cop saw it, and he was taken away to jail for the night. And the emotionally abusive part was then when he looked at me and said, "This is your fault. Mm-hmm. You did this." And I'm like, I did literally nothing. I just went to the club and stood there by your side. But apparently because eyes were on me, I did that, right? That's emotionally abusive.
Yeah.
But the push didn't feel so bad compared to the words that came out, right?
Yeah.
None of which are okay. But that one, I was just like, holy shit, and then moved on from it. But the words that kept coming out and kept spewing was like breaking me down, right? So the emotional abuse, it's like, it's not as, it's just slow. It's like a slow, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like it eats away at you day after day after day. And anyway, like again, Matt and I aren't doctors. We're not therapists. We're just expressing how we feel and explaining like what we went through. But sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, well, did she say that the person doesn't realize it at all?
Oh, that's a good
question. Or did
question.
she say she can't get away from it?
Let me see.
Because I was going to say if she is aware of it.
Shit, I deleted it.
If this person is aware with it, I think the best course of action is if she truly loves this man and sees a future with him, but just like the emotional abuse is there. I mean, it might be something where they should seek therapy, and I think it's one of those things where writing it down will probably get your sentiment across in a more sincere way. So like I don't know. Again, we don't know, but I would say write a love note to your partner that just says I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you.
Do you really think you can come back though from being with somebody that's emotionally abusive? Like if that's what they're doing, that's what they're doing.
We don't know how extreme the emotional abuse is. I mean, like,
but if a friend is saying it, like because the friend said it, right? Like my friend is in an emotionally abusive relationship and doesn't realize it. And if a friend is noticing it, then it's obviously
no. But
there.
So what I'm getting at though is the person that is doing the abusing is a broken man. Like there's something wrong with him. Man. If this woman loves him, that's why she's with him.
Right.
Then instead of just turning a blind eye to it and just acting like all's good and we'll figure it out together, it's like you're not going to figure it out together. Like this person needs a third party that's going to be able to work with them through like healing their demons that they have, right? Because that man has some shit. There's some demons in that closet.
But yeah, no, you're right. I think
don't know.
My personal opinion would be that he can do that work by himself, and then he can come on back when things are okay. I don't necessarily think that the partner needs to hold his hand to do that. Like we're gonna disagree on that maybe a little bit, because you're saying that like if this person really loves this person, that they can go and they can like be helping and stuff. But you know, I think that person can also do that on their own and do the work and come back and be a better man.
Well, yeah, there's two sides to it.
Right.
Like on one hand, I could sit here and say, fuck that guy.
Right.
Go restart your life somewhere else. He sounds like he sucks.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, I could be like, if you really love him and want to spend your life with him, then immediately get some third party action happening and like get some help together. And don't like pin it on him and make him feel like a piece of shit and throw him down and then you're abusing him. I would more so make it seem like something that you're going to work on together, and I love you and I want to spend my life with you.
And if he's willing to work on it together, great. And if he's not, then I mean, there's your sign right there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
If he doesn't want to get help,
it's not it for
there
you.
ASAP, because he's just going to keep tearing you down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, leave this on something lighthearted, Sharon, because you've been going for an hour and 10.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we've gone for 70 minutes now.
Okay, something funny.
It was recording for a few minutes.
I'm
before we
still
got started.
wondering if you ever told Matt what you watched in Toronto.
What did
No,
you
I
watch,
didn't.
man? I want to know so bad.
I don't even know, but I actually, now at this point, I can't even remember. I'm sure it was like, but you know what's so funny? We're not going to say her name, but anyway, when we were out in Shetty Camp and we had that night and we were chatting with our girlfriend who we just absolutely adore, and she was talking about
Everyone's gonna know
porn.
exactly.
And she was talking about porn and saying like the stuff that she watches, and how she's like, it's fucking weird. Like it's weird stuff. And she had no problem. She's like, you know, stepdaddy, dog. Like there's all this weird fucked up stuff that your brain goes through that is like kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? That like it's not some taboo, like taboo things, right? And that's definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing. And I remember, what did I watch in Toronto? What kind of porn do you watch? If it's
No, we asked you first.
But I just want to ask you too. Like, do you just watch like straight up like Spanish because you love like, you know, and then it's just like straight penetration? Do you like watching like three subs? Like, tell me all about it.
Yeah, I watched some stuff with two girls for sure.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Sure. Yeah, I bet you do. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and just watch like some guy just having a missionary with some chick. Like, it's
right.
No, it's I don't know. Sometimes I like the massage shit. I like the thing where there's like a little massage action and she rolls him over and gets to it.
Which is so funny because I literally gave Matt his first massage of like 7 years the other day.
Sure, we've been together for 8 years.
Oh yeah, 8 years. And Matt's like, is this really the first time you've ever done this? I didn't realize you liked it so much, huh?
I'm so turned on.
Now I know.
So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of insight in people's porn. I like reverse cowgirl.
I agree, but I actually totally disagree because I think there's other insight where it's like that's just extremely separate from your everyday. But
no, but if you're sitting there all by yourself with the lights dimmed in there and that's what you're going towards, it's like that's what turns you on, like straight up. So we need another woman to come in,
give you a massage. Yeah, and you both give me a massage. Oh my god, Matt's just there getting great session. This is it, hon. This is
fanning
it.
me.
Yeah. Oh my. I'm still not telling you.
I don't know, but I guess I don't know. I just sometimes you just kind of randomize it, just kind of.
Well, it's funny because
see what's out there, just a little close your eyes.
I know you said it ended on something funny, but when we were in Shetty Camp, or sorry, not in Shetty Camp, we were up at Chester, and I was talking to two kids that are like 13 and 15, and obviously are at this point like learning and exploring their sexuality and stuff like that.
What the hell are you talking about? What?
Well,
what is this?
No, I was just gonna say that.
I zoned out for a second.
No,
what
I was gonna say on the flip side, porn can be scary for people that are starting to come into their sexuality and are starting to masturbate and all this stuff like this. And I was talking to their parents about it because they know that they're starting to kind of venture down that, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I said it's also can be crazy in a sense because these kids are it's so accessible. At this point, when I was a kid and I was starting to do it, I was watching Bleu Nuit, and I would literally just get like a side view of a nipple, and I'm like, that's it, that's my time, work with what you got, Sheridan. But now you open it up, and there's like, it's just literally everywhere, bombarded with all these crazy sex things. And I think, like, sometimes I'm like, these poor kids that are opening it up and that are trying to like think, is this normal? Like, then they're gonna go with their 15-year-old girlfriend and like start doing stuff, and like, then they're like, is this what I'm supposed to like, right? And it's sucky, like that fucking sucks.
Yeah, I think when you're coming at it from like a really young age like that,
Yeah.
Like sex at one point was because you loved somebody, and
Right.
it was an act that you did to show your
Yes.
affection towards
Yep.
another human. And I think what happens, me watching porn now is
Right.
cares.
You're like desensitized to it. You're,
Yeah, a little bit because it's like when I'm with you, I mean, we love each other. And that's
Right.
what it is. But I mean, like, it's the fundamental thing that it is. And like, I think if, when you look at someone like Theodore, as he starts getting older, it's like there's so much at his disposal now where it's like, yeah, you're right. I mean, when I got a Playboy magazine and Playboy's like,
you have like an actual static image, and it's like,
yeah,
all right.
I mean, even that was almost kind of tasteful in a way. It was like
Yeah.
Playboy was always kind of like
Yes.
well curated. Now it's just like, blah, there's craziness, and everywhere you look, there's freaking.
It's actually a very it's a topic for sure, because you're right, and you're gonna have to sit and have those conversations with our kids, and so am I, and like explain sex, and that's gonna be interesting because I remember my mom told me that, like, she kind of approached it and said, sex can be really good, Sheridan. And I was like, ew. That was the first thing I thought of was, ew, now I'm visualizing you and my dad doing it. And that's really gross to me. But she was trying to instead of being so, rigid with her motions and this is a penis and this, she was trying to say, it can be really good if it's with somebody you love and la, 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 la. But that kind of threw me off. Because then I'm thinking, like, gross, like, Yeah. Like, it's like, how do you even approach it? I honestly do not know. I don't know the answer to that.
So was this your roundabout way of dodging what you watched in Toronto? To try to like bring it into some deep space.
I'm trying to remember. It was probably Lego.
It was what? What was it? Lego? What did you say? Look at her. She won't reveal it.
No, I won't. No, I won't reveal it. It wasn't
You're
anything.
into some weird ass shit like what? Bestiality or something? Like what the frick? You spit your drink out. Yes. Yes. It finally happened.
No, there's no bestiality. But anyway, I'm not even going to tell you. I love you.
You're not going to reveal it? Oh my God, just reveal it.
Because to me, it's literally just my own personal time. I don't need to be like, and then I watched this one, and then I watched this one, and I was also into this one. Like, you don't need to know. Now I know you want a massage. Thanks for that. Look out.
No, but like, there's lots of things I enjoy. Throw some stockings on.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Episode
Oh
11.
my God, reveal
Like,
it.
subscribe.
Wow. Okay, love you, babe.
Love you too.
You look really good this episode, by the way. This was fun. I like this one.
Yeah.
It kind of takes the pressure off having to think about what to talk about. I mean, I love talking about other people's things in life.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully, I think it was tastefully done. And I think we also talked a lot
it was
about
great.
ourselves and our relationships and stuff, which is a great, like, conversation starters too, right?
I
and I still have a lot left, so.
I'm just going to look at what we didn't talk about in here. Like, it's...
So what, we're just going to have, like, an awkward silence?
No, I'm just like...
Do, 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 do. We're not going to talk about them anymore.
After 2 babies, I feel like I can't orgasm or enjoy sex. It's work, and I'd rather just sleep. I mean, there's so many good ones in here.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next
Like,
time.
there's like I could
'Cause
just
that-
scroll forever.
Yeah.
Purchased my first vibrator, changed my life last night. Who needs a man?
Ain't that the truth, baby? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you know what?
What?
I brought a vibrator into our relationship for you. That was kind of cool.
Thanks for doing that.
Spice things up
Felt
a little bit.
fucking great.
Now I've bought like 15 of them.
There
I
was
have like a
times
whole
where I'm
cupboard
like,
of-
where is it, Matt? And you're like, I don't have it here. I'm like, find it.
Oh
The
my
battery's
God.
on. No, I'm just
But I mean, okay, so for that thing right there, who needs a man? It's like, man, I'm guessing when the man's doing it, kind of.
Aren't we done talking? Yeah.
Spices
Get
things
your
up a
man to
little
try
bit.
it out, too.
Yeah, make it fun.
Okay.
Anyway, love you.
Love you too.
See you later.
Bye.
It's the Two Gems Podcast.